it is such a pleasure to be with you tonight. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to my brother, Borisov, for organizing this event tonight. And thank you to every member of the community for engaging. Mr. Bandari has been a stalwart over the past 2 days, taking time with me. I've had a personal driver in Mr. Tapa. It's been very nice. Very, very nice. When I ask myself, why am I here tonight? I realize that over the past few months, I've spoken at a number of events. And the subject always comes back to the question of service. And I ask myself, how did I get into this business? And I think back 36 years ago as I was preparing to join the State Department. Now I've got to tell you, I did not join the State Department to be a hero. I didn't join the State Department to change the world. I joined the State Department because I was a young man who did not want to be a lawyer. I was in law school, but I didn't want to practice law. Noble profession, but I was not called to the bar. The State Department was hard to get into. They offered me a job, I needed a job, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. So off I went to Washington. But very quickly, you learn that this was about service. It was about service to our nation, but it was more than that. It was about service to a global community. It was about service in pursuit of values. Values that we believe in. Values that our nation stands for. Values that we articulate. More than that. I realized that if we were going to serve, we all had to realize and think through why we served. What were the values that each of us carried with us that led us to say, this matters. I want to make a difference. And that commitment to service came to define my 36 years with the Department of State. And I realized when you retire, that doesn't mean you retire from service or engagement in the world. So as I looked and thought, what comes next? What do I do? Nepal came to mind. And Dr. Joshi is exactly right. Exactly right. Why Nepal? Many places in the world where we can serve, where we can make a difference. Right here at home, we can make a difference. There are challenges everywhere we turn. But for me, Nepal was a place that had touched my heart. But it changed me. I traveled to Nepal for the first time in 1982 when I was serving on my first posting in Bombay. I traveled to Nepal and I saw the people. I saw the communities. I saw the generosity of spirit, the compassion, the decency of the people of Nepal. I thought there's something special there. I traveled back several more times over the intervening years before I had the opportunity to serve as ambassador. And as ambassador, there was no place that I had served over the span of 35 years that touched my heart, that touched me and changed me personally more than Nepal. And it's not your country, our country. I consider myself a little bit Nepali. Tbilisi may not be a Nepali name, but inside, a little bit Nepali. Your country is beautiful. It truly is. Gorgeous country. It engages our senses, and that's a great thing. It's a fascinating country. The richness, the diversity of the cultures, the languages, the traditions. Each community carries with it its own vitality. And engaging with all of those different cultures and traditions, that's a wonderful thing. It engages our intellect. That's also very good. But it's the people of Nepal. They touch our hearts, and they did. And people do fall in love. But it is the people. That's the secret weapon of Nepal. And it keeps us all coming back. So when I thought that I might have an opportunity to engage in Nepal, why not? But why Sorwe? because I believe we can make a difference, first of all. I went to Nepal as ambassador in 2010, a few months after the earthquake in Haiti. You'll recall, in Haiti, 234,000 people died in that earthquake. The United States spent $1 billion in the first 6 months after that disaster in Haiti, trying to make a difference, trying to help. And many people, many of you perhaps, picked up your phone and you texted 1-800-HAITI and gave $10. That's a good thing. We're generous people, we're kind-hearted people, and we looked and we said, my God, what a tragedy. How can we help? Look at the devastation, look at the deaths. How can we help? And that's a good thing to want to help, but the reality is, if we truly care, if we truly want to make a difference, the time to act is not after 234,000 people are dead, or after 8,000 people are dead as they were in the quakes in Nepal. The time to act is today, when we have an opportunity to save some of those lives. And as I prepared to go to Haiti, I remember President Obama had said, no, as I prepared to go to Nepal, Ambassador Obama had said, no more Haitis. So one of the things that I did as ambassador was to dedicate myself and our team at the embassy and our colleagues throughout the international community. We came together and said, how can we make a difference for the future of Nepal? How can we save lives for tomorrow by acting today? What can we do to build that better future? And we began to work at this. And I know that it had an impact. And I know that in the quakes 2 years ago, there are lives that were saved because of the actions we took then. And I believe that we can and must try to make a difference. So, we built the Soarway Foundation. It was created shortly before the earthquakes. I wasn't with it at that time. I was still in Uganda as ambassador. But when I came back, the day after I retired from my full-time service at the State Department, I became the executive director of the Soarway Foundation with that vision of how can we make a difference. And today we know, not only are we making a difference, but we also learned a few other things along the way. While our focus is risk reduction and preparedness, we know it's not enough just to build a strong house or a strong school, as important as those things are. We know we have to build stronger communities, more resilient communities. We have to empower people to take charge of their own lives and to shape their future, and not wait for government or donors to do everything, but to show them that they can be empowered to make a difference, to create a future that they can face with confidence rather than fear. And this means as well that we have to be concerned about and think about the most vulnerable members of society. Think about children who need a helping hand. Think about women who need to be empowered. Think about all of those in society who we can engage and who can offer so much to the future of Nepal. And I'm delighted that we have the women's coordinator and we have the vice president of the NRN here tonight, and that we have women who are engaging, and I'm delighted to see you all here tonight, because we can make a difference. In today's world, there's been a lot of conversation already tonight, and I understand that, and I share many of the sentiments that have been expressed. But I'm not here. My purpose is not to talk politics. But I will say this, that as we all struggle to find leadership that resonates, as we all struggle to find that articulation of values that reflects what we believe in, we've got to ask ourselves, how will we engage? And when the leadership that we seek may not always be there, then we have to look within ourselves. And again, ask ourselves, why do we serve? Why do we care? Why do we make a difference? As I look out at this wonderful group of people here tonight, as Mr. Joshi said, you, as Dr. Joshi said, you are representative of the Nepali diaspora community as a whole. You have come to this country. You've changed your lives. You are leaders, and you reflect that spirit of leadership and commitment and concern. I've seen the temple that you're building. I was very impressed by it. Very nice. I can't wait to see it. I want to come back once it's been dedicated. I'd love to see the temple again, but I was very impressed to see what you've been able to accomplish. And as leaders in the community, your engagement, not just here, but again, your engagement back home, your commitment to the future, and the example that you set by your leadership, by your commitment to service, this matters. It truly does. Every one of us has the opportunity to lead. And every one of us has the opportunity to serve. The question is whether you will choose to do so. But you do make a difference. And you, as the leaders in the community, you set an example. Dr. Joshi had talked about it. This is a community largely made up of first-generation immigrants. I'm barely a second-generation immigrant. My grandfather came to this country from Sicily. I told a few of you last night that what I saw as I saw you building your community, strengthening the bonds that united you, as you sought to preserve your ties to your country of birth, but also build a future in your new country. That resonated for me because I was a child of immigrants. I saw this play out in my own family. I saw my own story within your community. But as that generation, first generation of immigrants, your leadership in adopting new values as well, the spirit of volunteerism, the spirit of giving back, of making a difference, it matters. And we can all make a difference, whether it is on a global stage, whether it's on a national stage, whether it's as the mayor of Artesia, whether it is in your community or whether it is in your family. We can all make a difference. We can all lead. And that is what I hope that you will do. I hope you will choose to do that. I hope some of you may choose to do that also by partnering with us at the Soarway Foundation as we seek to build this better future for Nepal. I'm not going to go through every one of our programs and tell you about this project and that project, though I'm really very proud of a lot of the things we're doing. I'm proud of all the things we're doing. We're building a better future. We care about Nepal, and we are committed to transparency. We're committed to accountability. We're committed to ensuring that the funds get where they go. And to be honest, Dr. Joshi, again, I would say, I don't work with the government. I know those politicians. I knew them very well. We find other ways to deliver the service. We work with communities. We work with partners who are well established, who have the trust and the faith of the communities that they serve, and people that we know we can count on, and people we know will help us to ensure that our efforts are not in vain, and that the money we bring to the equation gets where it needs to go. So, I would just say to you, as you think about all of this, I hope that you will be willing to work with us. That you'll extend a hand of partnership as well, because as committed as I am, as determined as I am, I know I can't do it alone, and I don't have the market cornered on all the good ideas. I don't have divine truth. I don't have revealed wisdom, but I've got a commitment and a spirit. And I'll just close with two things. First of all, let me just note, I've got with me tonight some information about how you can go to our webpage and all the rest. I'd be happy to share it with you. One of the simplest things we've asked is that some people join the Soarway 1000. What we're trying to do seems so simple. We'd like to find 1,000 people across this country, 1,000 people within the diaspora community, willing to commit even $10 a month. Recurring payment, sign up once, it's all taken care of. $10 a month. How many of you go to Starbucks or McDonald's? You blow $10 like that. 33 cents a day. If I had 1,000 people who were committed to providing $10 a month, guess what? The Soarway Foundation would be sustainable, cover all our operating expenses, and have plenty left over to begin funding all the projects we want, and then we build from there. I've been trying this now for about 6, 7, 8 months. I think we've got about 80 people towards the 1,000. We've got a long way to go. Some of you would like to join up for the Soarway 1000. We would welcome that. And if some of you want to do more, if you are able to do more, please do. We'll do right by you. So let me just close with this slide. One of the partners I was most inspired by when I was in Nepal was a woman named Olga Murray. I don't know if any of you know Olga. She was responsible for creating the Nepal Youth Foundation. Olga first went to Nepal. Olga, first of all, was a child of immigrants. Came to America as a little girl. The parents said to her, go play out in the streets in New York. Learn to speak English. Make friends. She did. Came to California. She lives in the Bay Area half the year. The other half of the year she's in Nepal. She got married, had children, became a lawyer. Women couldn't work easily in the law at that time. She ended up working for the California State Supreme Court. Her husband passed away. She went to Nepal for the first time in her life at the age of 60. She went on a trek. She's in a village, in a small tea house. She sat there that evening, and she saw a mother, by the light of a lantern, trying to help her 2 children with their lessons. And Olga, when she went to Nepal, she had been thinking, you're 60 years old, and she thought, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And she watched this mother, who herself was probably functionally illiterate, trying to help her children with their lessons, because that mother knew the transformative power of education. She knew if she could help her children to get a good education, it could change their lives. It could change their families' lives. It could change the future. And Olga told me, she said, Scott, it's like a little bubble in my head. She said, that's what I'll do. I'm going to help a few kids. I'm going to help some Nepali children get an education. She began her foundation, tiny little organization. Today, it's massive. They're one of our partners now, one of Soarway Foundation's partners in Nepal. They have educated countless children. They've saved hundreds, thousands of lives of children who are malnourished. They are doing work to bring about social change. They are building a better future. They've done wonderful things. And I said to Olga one day as we sat at a holiday event in Nepal, and the children would come up to Olga Mama, and she looked at all they had. I said, Olga, when you began this, did you ever dream that your foundation would be like this? And she said, no, I just wanted to help educate a few children. But if you bring a vision, if you bring commitment, and if you bring passion and determination, and you're willing to supply the energy and the hard work, you can change the world. Olga has changed the world. Olga has changed lives. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's what the Soarway Foundation is about. That's what